Welcome to this classic edition of the Northeast Texas Game of the Week, featuring football, baseball, and basketball games of the high schools of Lamar County. We are digging back into our library spanning over 3 decades of high school sports to bring you some of the most exciting games of the past. We will be right back with this week's game.
Oh, it's going to be great.
I think it goes around.
Let's go. We got to get you in practice.
And it's set.
Welcome into the Northeast Texas Game of the Week on Axe TV 27. Tom Allen with you. Today's game, North Lamar and Paris, and we'll get to the complete starting lineups and defensive alignments right after our first pitch from Greg Weaver. That's hammered foul down the third baseline. And the count to the leadoff batter for the Paris Wildcats, Trey Walters, is now 1 ball and no strikes. The Paris Wildcats having their 12-game winning streak snapped on Friday night by Mount Pleasant 8-2. Trying to get back on the winning track and maintain the lead in district. Second pitch from Weaver in the dirt in front of catcher Toby Fitzgerald, and the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. Defensively for North Lamar today, Randy Dupree at first base, Michael Boswell at second, Shiloh Minier at short, Michael Jones at third. In the outfield from left to right, Joe Plott, Cliff Parker, and Todd Russell. Greg Weaver, the pitcher, Toby Fitzgerald, the catcher. And leading off for Paris here in the top of the first inning is center fielder Trey Walters. The count 1-1, and that pitch is slapped into left field for a single for Trey Walters. And Joe Plott makes the relay back to the infield. Walters with a single to left to get this game underway for the Paris Wildcats. And that will bring right fielder Steve Walker to the plate. Walker against Mount Pleasant, striking out 4 consecutive times after being hit by a pitch in his first plate appearance. He'd like to snap that rather dubious streak. And thanks to John Toppings for stopping by and bringing us the latest updated computerized statistics for the Paris Wildcats. Walker now batting .345 on the year, and from the stretch now, Greg Weaver's pitch is slapped down to the third baseman, makes a nice pick, and the long throw across to first base retires Steve Walker. Trey Walters going down to second on the throw. So Walker out 5-3 for the first out of the inning, and a nice pickup that time by Michael Jones. That'll bring Kurt Lowry to the plate. Lowry playing left field today for the Paris Wildcats and batting in the third position. Looked like rain this morning. The sun came out briefly this afternoon, and really the weather not too bad. A little chilly, the wind gusting out of the north-northeast right now. But all things considered, a rather pleasant afternoon for baseball. Runner at second, 1 out for Paris here in the top of the first, and the first pitch to Lowry is a called strike on the outside corner. Nice pitch by Greg Weaver. North Lamar right-hander dueling with Kurt Lowry. North Lamar coming into this game 1-7 in district, 4-13 rather on the year. Overall, Paris exactly the opposite, 13-3 and 7-1. And Weaver stepping off the mound, checking Trey Walters back at second base. Been a tough year for Alden George and Alan Morris and their young North Lamar Ball Club. The wind, the delivery, Walters is going, pitch is swung on and popped up in the infield. The first baseman over to make the play, and Walters scampers back to second base. Randy Dupree with the putout on the pop out in the infield by Kurt Lowry. 2 down in the inning, and that will leave it up to Bruce Harmon now to try and bring Walters home. Against Mount Pleasant, the top half of the Paris lineup did not do all that well with the bat. Looking to try and snap out of that slump here against North Lamar. First pitch is a breaking ball by Weaver, stays high, ball 1 to Harmon. Despite the loss to Mount Pleasant, Paris still with a 1-game lead in District 10 4A over the Tigers, 2 games over Liberty Ilo. A 1-0 pitch, and that is low off the outside corner, and the count now at 2 balls and no strikes on Bruce Harmon. Trey Walters singled to start the inning. moved to second on a ground ball to third. And then Kurt Lowry with the pop out to first baseman Randy Dupree, and with 2 outs, Walters still at second base. Weaver checks the runner, comes to the plate, swung on and missed by Harmon. The count is 2 balls and 1 strike. Jason Stevens on deck. Should Harmon keep this inning alive for the Cats? Paris with that 1-game lead, 4 games, including today's, left to play in district. And Weaver, the pickoff play to second, and back safely is Trey Walters. Michael Boswell covering for North Lamar. Took the throw, but Walters easily back in ahead of it. Boswell holding him at second. Walters trying to get his lead. 2-1 pitch, swung on, and in foul territory. Coming over is Dupree, and Randy makes the catch, and the inning is over as Bruce Harmon pops out to Randy Dupree in foul territory for the 3rd out of the inning. So the Cats, with a threat, get Trey Walters as far as second base on that leadoff single. But then the next 3 batters down in order. Steve Walker on a ground ball to third. Kurt Lowry and Bruce Harmon both popping out to Randy Dupree at first base. After 1/2 inning of play, our score Paris nothing and North Lamar coming to.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at casaforchildren.org.
We head to the bottom of the first inning at Postlong Field at North Lamar. Paris and North Lamar hooked up in a District 10-4A encounter. Wildcats failed to score in their half of the first inning, and North Lamar coming to bat. Checking the Wildcats defensively in the outfield, Kurt Lowry, Trey Walters, and Steve Walker from left to right. Around the infield, Jason Stevens at first, Brad Boatner at second, Brian Rainey at short, Bruce Harmon at third. Clint House, the starting pitcher, Justin Manning behind the plate, and center fielder Cliff Parker will lead it off for North Lamar. In the previous 2 games between these teams, they have ended a bit early because of the 5-inning 10-run rule. Paris beating North Lamar here 12-1 in the first game, and then at Hub Hollis 13-3 just about a week and a half ago. House's first pitch is on the way to Parker, and that one is skied in the air to short left field. Coming in very quickly as a left fielder. He dives, drops the ball, and on at first base is Cliff Parker. Well, some confusion in the outfield and the infield. Brian Rainey going out, Kurt Lowry and Trey Walters coming in. And Lowry finally making a dive for the ball, couldn't hold on to it. It falls in for a single. A tweener, as it were. And the leadoff batter for North Lamar is on. Clint House pitched in relief on Friday night in that loss to Mount Pleasant. At the plate is left fielder Joe Plott with a runner on and nobody out here in the bottom of the first, and the pitch to Plott is hit in the air. That in foul territory. Bruce Harmon, the third baseman, making the call and retires Plott. So Joe Plott, swinging on the first pitch, pops out to third baseman Bruce Harmon for the first out of the inning, and that'll bring up Toby Fitzgerald, the catcher. We haven't mentioned our umpiring crew. We'll get to that in just a minute. As House checks the runner, Parker at first, and comes to the plate to Fitzgerald, and there's a pitch off the outside corner, ball 1. Joe Flynn calling our ball, Pete Flynn calling our balls and strikes this afternoon. And at first base, Joe Tao to call the bases, and he is now stationed actually directly behind the pitcher, Clint House, and between first and second. And here's a throw over to first as House checks Parker back on the throw to Jason Stevens. House, a check of the runner, and the 1-0 pitch to Fitzgerald on the way, and that one is a little low, and the count out to 2 balls and no strikes, and a nice block by Justin Manning. Cloudy skies, but the rain forecast for mid-afternoon never materialized, and a brisk wind out of the north, otherwise a very pleasant afternoon. There's a called strike. Fitzgerald taking all the way on that pitch from Clint House. And the count now at 2 balls and 1 strike. Mike Patterson, our compatriot from KPLT, here today doing the game live. But without his usual supporting cast. He's winging it solo today. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Runner goes. Pitch is swung on and missed for a strike 2 call. And the throw goes into center field, but Trey Walters backing it up. Will be into second base with a stolen, Parker rather, into second base with a stolen base. Walters backing it up, keeps Parker there, and does not allow him to go to third as a throw by Justin Manning got through second baseman Brad Boatner into center field. So 2-2 the count on the batter Toby Fitzgerald, and North Lamar with a runner in scoring position. Here's a 2-2 pitch, fouled out of play, and the count holds on at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Already, folks on the broadcast crew remembering the veritable shower of foul balls Friday night in that Mount Pleasant game, and they're plotting trajectories early. House checks the runner. 2-2 pitch on the way. Breaking ball just off the outside corner, and House has now gone full to North Lamar catcher Toby Fitzgerald. Last year, under similar circumstances, North Lamar upset Paris here at Pass Long. Panthers may be bidding to do that again. There's a shot foul outside the first baseline. Fitzgerald not quite getting around on that fastball by Clint House. Obviously, Alden George's crew would like nothing better than to play spoiler here in 10-4A and put a crimp in the championship aspirations of the Paris Wildcats. We mentioned on Friday night, Paris not really expected to be here. Mount Pleasant was the odds-on favorite for the District 10-4A championship. The Tigers have been state ranked most of the year. But Paris, up until Friday night, had a 2-game lead on the Tigers. It is now down to 1 game. And they need to beat teams like North Lamar and Sulphur Springs if they want to maintain that lead. There's the 2-2 pitch, and that one is fought. 3-2 pitch, and that one is fought off foul by Fitzgerald. The count stays full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. On deck is cleanup hitter Michael Jones, the Panther third baseman. Alden George looking to try and wave a run home here. Cliff Parker at second base with 1 out, and a full count on the batter Toby Fitzgerald. Boatner scampering back to the hole, and there's a tapper to the shortstop. Rainey scoops. Throw across to Stevens in time, and 2 are gone. Holding at second base is Cliff Parker, as Michael Jones is retired 6-3 for the second out of the inning. And that will bring Michael Jones to the plate. Check that. Toby Fitzgerald retired 6-3, and Michael Jones, much as Bruce Harmon attempted to do in the top of the inning, will try to bring the run home. House a check of the runner at second, and the breaking ball tapped on the ground to third. Harmon scoops. Long throw is in time, and the inning is over. Michael Jones, swinging on the first pitch, is retired 5-3 for the third out. So both teams in their respective halves of the first sent 4 batters to the plate. Both teams put a runner in scoring position, and both teams failed to bring him home. After 1 complete, our score: Paris nothing, North Lamar nothing.
My son has been drinking, and I think he's using drugs.
I just feel so ugly. I don't want anybody to see me.
So sad all the time. I can barely get out of bed.
I just needed to talk to someone because I miss him so much.
Stand strong. No matter what you're going through, there is hope at the end of the line.
Focus on the family. How can we help?
Top of the second inning at Poslong Field, District 10 4A encounter, Paris and North Lamar, no score, and Lane Park, Minister of Outreach at First Baptist Church, and occasionally my immediate supervisor is on microphones.
Oh, man, it's because I got off the top of the dugout behind that camera. Joe Eigelhart from Lamar National Bank is one of our cameramen, and he's taken over on camera, too. It allows me to come down here and warn you a little bit.
First pitch to Jason Stevens, a fastball called strike by Greg Weaver, who goes right after the Paris Wildcat first baseman.
Jason's dad's over here, all dressed up, fit to kill. I was talking to him about coming up here in his suit. He said, well, when you come from work, you don't have any other choice.
Ooh, that pitch a little high and inside. Some chin music from Greg Weaver. Stevens ducks back, and the count levels now at 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, Weaver a lot braver than Mount Pleasant. They refused to pitch most of the night to Jason Stevens. There's a pitch, breaking ball off the outside edge, and the count now to 2 balls and a strike on Jason.
Tom, anything hit to left field by our right-handers today is going to be right in the teeth of that strong wind that's come through with that front today, and not many of them going to reach that fence today.
Well, I would say by the way the wind's blowing, you can hit it just about anywhere, and it's not going to get out of here. There's a pitch low off the outside corner.
A left-hander pulling one real good down the right field line. Might get a little bit of help, but that's about all that the wind's going to allow for today.
Count out to 3 balls and a strike on Jason Stevens here in the top of the second inning. Stevens leading off for Paris, and that pitch off the outside corner, and Stevens draws a walk, the first one issued this afternoon by Greg Weaver.
Well, when they didn't pitch to him last Friday night, it was because they really didn't want to. Today they're pitching carefully. They're going to make him reach out and grab some bad ones. Otherwise, he's going to find himself walking down to first base a good bit. They're going to respect that, what that young man can do.
That brings shortstop Brian Rainey to the plate. With Stevens at first base and nobody out here in the top of the second. No score, Paris and North Lamar.
Time called.
And now Brian Rainey has called timeout to go down and talk to third base coach and father, Benton Rainey.
Let's listen in, son. What kind of pizza do you want?
Joe Eigelhart encouraged me to get you to order pizza since he came out here from the bank without a meal. Said he had a choice of either going home or coming out here, and he decided he wanted to change clothes worse than he wanted to come out here and eat. There's a shot right up the middle. A nice
Good
diving stop by the shortstop, but no play can be made.
Nice.
All the runners are safe.
Right.
But Shiloh Minier, with a great stop, keeps the runner from advancing past second base. That could have gone all the way into center field and perhaps allowed Stevens to go on to third base, but instead Minier with a nice stop on the outside edge of the infield.
Now, there's really a big difference, runners at first and second, runners at first and third, when you have no outs. It's a big difference because you still got your double play on your lead runner as a possibility.
Runners at first and third now, as that scores as an infield single.
Runners first and second.
Or first and second, I'm sorry. Got me thinking first and third here. That scores as an infield single for Brian Rainey and brings Todd Wells, the designated hitter, to the plate. And Wells was simply awesome. The only Wildcat batter really to have a good night against Mount Pleasant on Friday night. And he will sacrifice in front of the mound. The only play is at first base. And so the sacrifice is good by Todd Wells, a designated hitter, moving runners up to second and third. Wells retired by Greg Weaver on his throw to Randy Dupree.
Nicely executed sacrifice, getting both runners into scoring position with only one out. And it's a good opportunity for the Wildcats now to strike early and bring a couple of runs across with just one good hit. One single would take care of that.
Justin Manning, the catcher, steps in now with one out and runners at second and third. And of course, Friday night, in that loss to Mount Pleasant, Wildcats had scoring opportunities in 5 of the 7 innings and could not convert. And there's a strike fastball right down the middle of the plate. 0-1 the count now on Justin Manning. Brad Boatner, the second baseman, on deck.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of bounce back that the Wildcats will have after that loss in the rain the other night, because with that one-game lead, they want to hang on to that one-game lead above everything, so they really want this game.
There's a pitch that stays high and a little inside to Justin Manning, and the count goes to 1-1. Well, of course, for Paris, with North Lamar and Sulphur Springs currently tied for last in the district standings, those are the teams they need to beat, and this is a game they must win today. There's a strike on the outside corner, and the count now 1 ball and 2 strikes on Justin Manning. Nice pitch from Greg Weaver as he painted the black on the outside edge, and Pete Flynn calls strike 2.
The pitcher does like this position, having 1-2 count.
That pitch just misses.
It certainly did. Now, this is the one he wants. This is the one he wants. At a 2-2 count, 1 out, runners at second and third. Pitcher wants to get this one across.
The delivery by Weaver, a breaking ball shot foul over our head, and the count stands at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Gene says he's closed the door to the van just in case those balls won't come in there and get after him today.
Well, I think we put him in a little bit safer location today than the crew in the truck was on Friday night.
He came out here without a sweater or a coat. No wonder he likes this indoor job.
2-2 delivery by Weaver. It's swung on the ground. They will hold the runners at second and third. The throw across in time as the infield is playing in to cut the run off at the plate.
An excellent defensive move by North Lamar by holding that runner at third, not allowing him to go in on the fielder's choice.
So Manning retired Shiloh Minier to Randy Dupree, and once again they drew the infield in that time to make sure, or at least to give them an opportunity to cut the run off at the plate. And then for the North Lamar fans, Justin Manning of Paris cooperated by a little tap back to Minier, who threw him out at first and was able to hold both runners. So now with 2 out and runners at second and third, Brad Boatner, the second baseman, at the plate, and he is the 9th batter in the Paris order.
Tom, if the Wildcats do not score this time, they're going to be kicking themselves once again, just like they did the other night, with excellent scoring opportunities. With 2 runners on and nobody out, now we have 2 outs, runners at second and third, and the possibility of getting nothing out of this inning. They're going to be chomping themselves at the bits.
Toby Fitzgerald, a nice stop on that last pitch that was in the dirt by Greg Weaver. Count 1-0 on Boatner. And the pitch, that one in the dirt, gets away from the catcher, Toby Fitzgerald. And the throw to the plate, not in time. The runner is safe.
And the runner from second advances to third.
Well, that passed ball that allows the runner from third to score is Toby Fitzgerald. Although the pitch was in the dirt, Toby was in front of that and just did not make the play on it.
That's what the Panthers certainly did not want to do. They wanted to make them earn the run. Certainly didn't want to give it to them.
The count out to 2-0 on Boatner. And the Paris Wildcats now leading 1-0. As the passed ball allows Jason Stevens to score from third base, and now down at third is Brian Rainey. And there's a pitch shot into center field. The wind has caught it, but coming over is Cliff Parker to make the catch. And Brad Boatner skies out to Parker for the final out of the second inning. The Wildcats, though, get a walk, a single, a sacrifice bunt from designated hitter Todd Wells, and then a passed ball allows Jason Stevens to score the first run of the ball game from third base. Our score after an inning and a half, now Paris 1 and North Lamar 0.
God has called us to go into the world and to care for the dying, to care for those that are suffering. It's just what we do.
So many houses are collapsed. People are economically weak.
It felt like a freight train, honestly. It really did. You just felt the shaking. You felt the eeriness.
When things like this happen, we have to come together. We have to help each other.
Our marriage was broken. We were at the point of no return.
The pain was just growing stronger, and I felt like I was getting weaker by the day.
It's a dire situation. There is a great need for outside help to fill this gap for medical needs.
I was at my lowest point, feeling unloved, and God brought in shoeboxes and gave me hope.
We run to the fire, we don't run away from it. We're on a rescue mission, and we go in Jesus' name.
You're watching the Northeast Texas Game of the Week on AXTV 27. This telecast will be shown 3 times. Each of our sporting events are televised 3 times. This game is actually being played on Tuesday afternoon, and the first telecast, if you're watching it on Wednesday night, you know that. 7:30 on Wednesday night. The second showing of the ball game will be on Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and then a third showing will be on Friday morning at 8 a.m., all on AX TV 27. We try to show all of our games at a time when everybody can watch the game, have at least one opportunity to see it, particularly those who are involved in shift work in our fine city. One evening telecast, one afternoon telecast, and one morning telecast. All of this courtesy of AX TV 27 and our sports package for the year. This is our first year to be this involved in our sporting events, and it's a privilege of the people, your friends at First Baptist Church and AX TV 27, to be bringing you these games, the Northeast Texas Game of the Week. Our next telecast is going to be on Friday evening. Tom, who do we have coming up this Friday evening?
That will be the Paris-Sulphur Springs game at Hub Hollis Field, and then we are off the following week, and then our final regular season game of the year will be Paris and Mount Pleasant, which is scheduled for Tuesday, May 1st. And then, of course, perhaps some playoff activity after that.
And if we have playoff games, AX TV 27 will be there.
Todd Russell takes the first pitch from Clint House over at the knees, called strike 1. Paris leads 1-0 here in the bottom of the second inning. And the second pitch to Russell is swung on and missed, as they couldn't catch up with the breaking pitch just off the outside corner. No balls and 2 strikes to the North Lamar right fielder, Todd Russell. Michael Boswell on deck and Greg Weaver, the pitcher, also due up this inning. Here's the wind and House's delivery, called strike 3. And Clint House picks up his first strikeout of the afternoon. Todd Russell is down on 3 pitches. And Michael Boswell at the plate. Boswell, the North Lamar second baseman, stepping in from the right side against Paris right-hander Clint House, and that pitch stays a little low. Count 1 ball and no strikes to Michael Boswell. Definitely an afternoon for a fairly heavy jacket, I would think. That pitch high and inside, 2-0.
My heavy jacket feels good. You look like you've just got a shirt on there, but I know better.
That's right. I've got lots of stuff on underneath it.
A lot of this undercover work, huh?
That's right. We had to get you off that camera. We know that at your age, you're very susceptible to colds, pneumonia, and bronchitis.
Yes, I deserve all the respect I can get for my age.
I wouldn't know. We call it respect, but at least we're taking care of you. We don't have liability insurance on our camera people. 3 balls and no strikes, so...
Don't say that. Fuller will leave immediately.
Clint House inside after striking out the first batter of the inning on 3 straight pitches. He walks the next batter, Michael Boswell, on 4 straight. North Lamar with a base runner with 1 out, and that brings Greg Weaver, the pitcher, to the plate.
We've had a substitute on camera 1. Mike Fuller has joined us, one of the fine media members of First Baptist Church media crew. How you doing, Mike? He's freezing.
House, a check of the runner, and the first pitch is in the dirt, ball 1. 1-0 the count on Greg Weaver, and down at first base on the walk is Michael Boswell.
We want to watch these next 2 pitches particularly to see if maybe we might begin to detect a little bit of a control problem. These last several pitches, let's watch them carefully.
The 1-0 pitch is swung on and fouled out of play, and the count levels now at 1 ball and 1 strike.
And it cleared everything.
On North Lamar pitcher Greg Weaver. Shiloh Minier, the Panther shortstop, on deck. Clint House struck out Todd Russell to open the inning. Walked the next batter, Michael Boswell. And now has a 1-1 count on Greg Weaver. That pitch in the dirt, swung on and missed by Weaver.
Good 9-iron swing.
Who jumped at a pitch before he knew where it was going. And as a result, instead of 2 balls and 1 strike, he's down in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. We are in the bottom of the second. Paris with a 1-0 lead over North Lamar.
And we're at North Lamar Comiskey Park. No lights.
Well, actually, it's at Wrigley Field before lights. Yeah, that swung on and missed. And the second strikeout of the inning for Clint House. Poslong Field, though, and from what I understand, they're planning on installing lights before next season.
That would be nice.
But Alden George, Alan Morris, and his kids have done a great job on the field here at Poslong. It is greening up rather nicely despite the weather we've had and some of the cool weather that would sort of discourage the Bermuda grass from coming out. But
you know, with the rain that we've had, this field is in excellent shape. They really have done a marvelous job.
It is a nice-looking facility.
It really is.
There's a pitch that gets away from catcher Justin Manning, but not far enough for Michael Boswell to advance. And the count is 1 ball and no strikes on Shiloh Minier. It's been either feast or famine for Clint House here in the second inning. He's got 2 strikeouts. He's also got a walk. A check of the runner at first, swing and a miss, as House took a little bit off that particular pitch, and Minier was way out in front of it. The count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. Notice that Joe Tao, the base umpire, is bundled up pretty well. Pete Flynn must have a heated umpire's vest underneath that short sleeve shirt. There's a breaking pitch at the letters that throws Shiloh Minier, and it's called strike 2.
A few moments ago, I was talking about watching the next several pitches carefully as to his control in this wind and coolness. He's come on back nicely, still has real nice control.
House will try to strike out the side around that walk. Here's the 1-2 pitch just off the outside corner with that fastball, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Wildcats play Shiloh Minier pretty well straight away in the infield and outfield. 2-2 pitch on the way, swung on and missed. A breaking pitch outside. So House does strike out the side around that walk to Michael Boswell. For North Lamar here in the bottom of the second inning, rather. No runs, no hits, and no errors. 1 man left on base, and our score now, after 2 complete, is Paris 1 and North Lamar nothing.
Giving a gift can change the world. The gift of emergency shelter changes communities. The signature blue Samaritan's Purse plastic is often seen after natural disasters, patching roofs or building transitional shelters. This heavy-duty plastic can keep a family safe from the weather until they have an opportunity to rebuild. This is how giving emergency shelter can change lives in Jesus' name. Give a shelter. Help change the world.
Axe TV 27 is privileged to bring you some of the finest in Christian television by way of the Axe Television Network. The home city of the Axe Television Network is Fort Worth, Texas, on the West Freeway. Axe TV is owned and operated by the Southern Baptist Convention. And it is our privilege at the First Baptist Church in Paris to be one of 400 affiliates across our nation of the Axe Television Network. Locally, our services, our worship experiences are telecast on Axe TV 27. I'd like to share that schedule with you now. Each Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, the morning worship service from First Baptist Church is telecast on a tape-delayed basis. We do have some live telecast. By and large, the telecast you will see each Sunday morning at 11 o'clock on Axe TV will be the morning worship service from the previous Lord's Day. Then on Monday evening at 7 o'clock, we will be telecasting the Sunday evening worship experience. Each Wednesday evening at 6:30, it will be the morning service, and each Saturday evening at 7 o'clock, the telecast of the evening worship experience. And once again, we want to say thank you to our friends at TCA Cablevision and Randy Taylor, the fine manager at TCA, because Channel 8 is now back on the air and telecasting many religious services of the various denominations. You'll find our morning telecast each Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock on Channel 8, Paris's religious and community information channel.
Trey Walters to lead it off for Paris here in the top of the 3rd inning, and the first pitch to Trey is in the dirt, ball 1 from Greg Weaver. Trey had a leadoff single in the first inning to left field rather, and then was stranded at second base. The wind and the delivery is high from Weaver. The count now 2 balls and no strikes. Well, considering the success of Paris in the first 2 games against North Lamar, it looks as though perhaps the offensive frustration experienced against Mount Pleasant on Friday night has carried over a bit here. to this game, and Trey Walters now asking for time as he thinks that Greg Weaver might be taking a little too long to decide on what he wants to pitch to him.
Another one of our fine crew members, volunteer crew members, has just shown up. Carl Pierce from out at Campbell's Soup made his way here in shirt sleeves and wondering what happened.
Get that man a coat.
Carl, where is your jacket? It was warm. Yeah, but you were indoors.
Count out to 3 balls and no strikes on Trey Walters. The line and the pitch inside, and Walters walks to lead off the top of the third.
Now, the Wildcats have been blessed by having people on base last Friday night and today. And only 2 runs last Friday night. Thus far, 1 run. It's going to be interesting to see how many of these they're going to be able to move, get them across, get them in scoring position. Because after last Friday night, this is the one thing the Wildcat coaching staff says, get those runners home.
Steve Walker 0 for 1 this afternoon. Grounded out third to first back in the first inning.
Steve wants to be productive after last Friday night. He really wants to show his stuff today.
Walters is going. The bunt is caught in foul territory. Double play.
Oh, my soul.
Trey Walters was running on the pitch. Steve Walker tried to lay the bunt down, popped out to the catcher in foul territory for the first out. And Walters, running on the pitch, was out by a country mile as he stood at second and realized that things did not go as planned.
When once he looked back at home, which was late, he decided, I've gone too far.
So the Wildcat base runner is erased, and with nobody on, there's a shot into center field. Parker is back, looking skyward, makes the catch, and very quickly, Harris is gone here in the top of the third as Kurt Lowry, swinging on the first pitch, flies out to Cliff Parker for the third out of the inning. For Paris, no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. And after 2.5 innings, it is Paris 1 and North Lamar nothing.
XTV 27 wishes to take this opportunity to express a word of appreciation to our underwriters and patrons. XTV 27 is a non-profit ministry of the television department of the First Baptist Church in Paris. And we have many fine underwriters who help support XTV 27 in keeping us on the air and bringing to you, our viewers, some of the finest in local telecasting in the way of sports, educational programs, and whatever we have an opportunity to film for you. Our underwriters are very faithful by standing with us each month, and they make it possible for us to go out on location and to be able to bring you telecasts such as these. From time to time, we'll be mentioning these underwriters, and we'll be showing you some video footage, their places of business. And at this time, First Baptist Church wishes to say, underwriters, patrons, thank you very much for making possible this ministry. And the wind continues to blow, but it's feeling better.
Anything would feel better as long as you weren't wet with the wind blowing after Friday night.
That's right. I'm going to have to go get that raincoat off camera too and give it to Carl, because he's not going to be able to do anything just plain old shirt sleeves. Joe Eigelhart is now taking a break from camera too, and we've got Dan Vandenberg up on the camera.
Well, I would bet that you could almost measure Carl's goosebumps with a ruler if he stands out in this wind much longer. Randy Dupree, Toby's younger brother, to lead things off here in the bottom of the third. And the first pitch is swung on and fouled back, and that one whistled over Gene Anderson's head in the truck. The count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count on Randy Dupree. Clint House working on a 1-hit shutout right now. There's a foul ball that is knocked back to the screen. Strike 2. Randy Dupree, the North Lamar first baseman. 9th batter in the Panther lineup, who will go back to pick up Cliff Parker at the top. He's on deck, followed by Joe Plott. House's 0-2 delivery is in the dirt and bounces past Justin Manning off the backstop. The count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Did you flinch a little bit?
No, that one wasn't close enough to make me flinch.
There's a good shot from camera number 2 off of the dugout over there.
The pitch swung on and missed, and the 3rd consecutive strikeout now for Clint House. First out of the inning. House's string started back in the second. He opened the inning by striking out Todd Russell. Then Michael Boswell walked, followed by consecutive strikeouts of Greg Weaver and Shiloh Minier. So now House has struck out four of the last 5 batters he has faced. As we go to the top of the order to pick up Cliff Parker. 1 for 1 this afternoon, and he takes a breaking pitch at the letters, strike one.
That's what I get for questioning his pitching next inning. He's come back hot as a firecracker.
North Lamar fans didn't like the call by Pete Flynn. Thought it was a little high.
Looking around in the grandstand, this is not the world's greatest crowd.
Here's the I don't blame him. Well, here's the 0-1 pitch. And that one is out of the strike zone, swung on and missed by Parker, and the count is no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count on Parker, and I believe it has gotten just a little bit colder out here this afternoon. 0-2 pitch. There's a ground ball to Rainey. It's short, bobbles it, picks it up, throws to first, not in time. That's an error all the way on Brian Rainey. The error on Brian Rainey. And with a runner at first base now and 1 out, Joe Plott the batter. Plott, the North Lamar center left fielder. So Clint House will now work with only his second, third base runner of the afternoon. Here's a breaking pitch strike to left-handed batting Joe Plott.
I watch. The guy hits the ball. I look, see where it's going to go. And then I zoom in and see it.
The 0-1 pitch to Plott. Cute foul off the concrete here at Poss Long, and the count now no balls and 2 strikes.
Over the side of the camera where the ball is.
And the umpire's checking for bruises on the little white delicate skin.
After that walk to Michael Boswell, Clint House has thrown nothing but strikes, but did not get quite the help he expected from Brian Rainey on a ground ball by Cliff Parker, and that has accounted for the base runner here in the bottom of the third with 1 man out, and the count 0-2 to Joe Plott.
Come up with all the new
House a check of the runner at first, and the 0-2 pitch swung on and missed. And House strikes out Joe Plott. Second out of the inning, and the 5th strikeout in 2 innings for Clint House. And that will bring catcher Toby Fitzgerald to the plate. Toby not real sure he was going to get a chance to bat. Had his shin guards on, and those have been removed, and he is now ready to step in from the right side. Fitzgerald 0 for 1 this afternoon. Grounded out to the shortstop in the first inning of play. A check of Parker at first. There's a breaking pitch swung on and missed by Toby Fitzgerald. Now Clint House right now has pretty well taken control of this baseball game from the mound for the Paris Wildcats. From the stretch, the 0-1 pitch in the dirt. Nice block by Justin Manning, and the count is level now at 1 ball and 1 strike. House's record 2 wins and no losses on the year. A 1.15 earned run average. Has struck out 20 in those appearances, walked 16. There's a pitch on the outside corner, throw down to first, not in time, as Stevens couldn't get the tag quite around on the base runner Cliff Parker. Toby Fitzgerald down on the count now at 1 ball and 2 strikes. And that pitch, a breaking ball on the inside edge, swung on and missed. So once again, around the error by Rainey, Clint House strikes out the side here in the third. 6 strikeouts in 3 innings of work, and all of those strikeouts coming in the last 2. For North Lamar, no runs, no hits, 1 error by the Paris defense, and 1 man left on base. Our score after 3 complete remains Paris 1 and North Lamar nothing.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at casaforchildren.org.
We are in the top of the fourth at Poslong Field, North Lamar High School, and it has turned into a pitcher's duel. Paris leading 1-0, and that coming on a passed ball that allowed a run to score back in the second for the Wildcats. Otherwise, Clint House of Paris and Greg Weaver of North Lamar have been matching each other out for out, if not pitch for pitch. Weaver has not struck a Paris batter out yet.
Thus the reason, as you mentioned off camera just now, this game's moving right along. We're in the fourth inning, and we've only been at it just about 40 minutes.
But even though he has not struck anybody out, he has kept the ball in play and let his defense do the work. Bruce Harmon, the Paris third baseman, will lead it off here in the top of the fourth. Harmon 0 for 1. Popped out in foul ground to Randy Dupree back in the first inning of play. And the right-handed batter awaits the first pitch, swung on and missed. A nice fastball by Weaver.
A nice fastball. I mean, he was behind that one.
Up in Harmon's eyes, and he couldn't pick it up. 0-1 the count from the North Lamar right-hander as Weaver deals to the plate. A breaking pitch, and Harmon again swinging and missing, and now Bruce is down on the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Harmon coming into the game batting at .283 on the year. The 0-2 delivery offered and a little bit low as Harmon did not go around. The count at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Oh,
and a nice
but
stop
Mr. Harmon wanted to, did he not?
Nice stop by Toby Fitzgerald.
Not needed
Bruce,
that one.
Yeah, Bruce had an idea. It's a good thing that idea never came to fruition. He's still at the plate. A 1-2 delivery, shot right back up the middle, a soft liner that is run down by the second baseman, Michael Boswell.
I thought that was going to go through, but it wasn't quite as heavily hit as I thought when it first left the bat. Sounded good.
Little soft liner that Michael Boswell ran down near second base for the first out of the inning, and that will bring Jason Stevens to the plate. Stevens with a walk. And
let's see how carefully they're going to pitch Jason this time.
A walk and a run scored back in the second inning, but no official time at bat in this particular game. Jason on the year, batting .293.
Okay.
There's a bouncing ball just outside third base. And the count is 0-1 on the batter, Jason Stevens. And I understand we're having some technical difficulties on camera too. Somebody has inadvertently kicked a wire. And we'll get that back in just a moment. So we're operating with one camera right now. There's a breaking pitch that has popped up down the first base line, and Randy Dupree makes a nice running catch. So Randy Dupree has had 3 putouts here in the ball game, as Jason Stevens with a little short popper in foul territory down the first base line for the second out of the inning. And that will bring Brian Rainey to the plate. Rainey with a single back in the second inning of play.
Work hard, buddy, work hard.
And there's a shot to the shortstop on one bounce, picked up in time. Shiloh Minier throws out Brian Rainey. Rainey, first ball hitting, is retired 6-3 for the third out. So Paris is quickly gone here in the top of the fourth. Our score after 3.5, Paris 1, North Lamar nothing. We go to the bottom of the fourth inning with our score, Paris 1, North Lamar nothing. And Michael Jones, the cleanup hitter for North Lamar, will lead it off against Paris right-hander Clint House, who is on a strikeout binge the last couple of innings. And the first pitch to Jones, a breaking ball that stays inside, ball one. Well, we ask you to bear with us. We are operating with one camera. We had someone kick a cord, and we lost a camera over on the dugout top, but we're going to get two back up, and it is in the process of being aligned now, and we'll have them back on the air shortly. Here's a pitch swung on and fouled back, and the count now has gone to 2 balls and 1 strike on the North Lamar third baseman, Michael Jones. Jones, a leadoff batter here in the bottom of the 4th, swings and pops one down the first baseline. Jason Stevens going over near the dugout, reaches and makes the catch right up against the fence. So Michael Jones pops out to Jason Stevens in foul territory for the first out of the inning, and that will bring Todd Russell to the plate. Russell, the first strikeout victim of Clint House back in the 2nd inning, was caught looking at a called 3rd strike.
Well, we had a little technical difficulty there. Somehow we lost power on camera 2. We don't.
There's a shot, and that one may be in for extra bases down the right field line, all the way to the fence, into the corner. And on his way to second base is Todd Russell. Here comes the throw. Russell going to third. The throw to third, not in time, and Russell in with a triple.
A triple all the way. Nothing cheap about that one. Well hit, good base running, good defensive effort from the Wildcats, and still a perfectly executed triple.
Steve Walker couldn't catch up to it. It was slicing away from him down the first baseline.
I'm sure that wind was assisting Tom a little bit on that thing, pulling away from Steve.
But that one was really stung, and now Benton Rainey wants his infield in to try and cut the run off at the plate. Michael Boswell up, walked on 4 straight pitches back in the 2nd inning. So Todd Russell now 1 for 2, a strikeout in the 2nd, but a triple here in the 4th. North Lamar, the tying run, just 90 feet away with 1 out here in the 4th inning, and Clint House will have to do some pitching right now. A right-hander deals in the dirt, and Justin Manning with a nice stop. Ball 1 to Michael Boswell. Greg Weaver on deck. Here's the wind. The delivery swung on and missed by Boswell, and the count is 1 ball and 1 strike.
This is an excellent opportunity for the Panthers to tie this game with a runner at third and only 1 out. Any kind of a sacrifice, if he can get that ball past the infield.
Infield drawn in. That pitch swung on and missed. Strike 2. Breaking pitch on the outside corner.
With the pitcher's duel, Tom, that we've had going, this is one runner that the Panthers definitely want to get in.
Count is 1 and 2 on Boswell. Here's the pitch just off the outside edge, and the count now goes to 2 and 2.
Now, this is the pitcher's pitch. 2 and 2. This is the one the pitcher wants.
Only the 2nd hit given up this afternoon by Clint House, but it was a extra base number. There's a pitch foul back to the right side and out of play, and the count holds at 2 balls and 2 strikes. One out. A runner at third base here in the bottom of the 4th for North Lamar. And the 2-2 pitch tapped on the ground. Harmon scoops, checks the runner, and then throws it over to Stevens in time for the out. So Bruce Harmon picks it cleanly, checked the runner back at third base, and tossed to Jason Stevens at first for the 2nd out of the inning. Michael Boswell is retired, and that leaves it up to Greg Weaver, a strikeout victim back in the 2nd.
He would have been a dead Panther had he not held at third base.
2 outs in the inning now, and remaining at third base is Todd Russell. Clint House trying to work himself out of some trouble here in the 4th. That pitch swung on, popped up, and out of play. And a groan from the crowd as it must have just missed somebody's vehicle out there.
It hit the yellow line between the two vehicles. Otherwise, it'd been right in the center of somebody's car.
No balls and 1 strike to count on Greg Weaver.
I noticed Patterson got a chuckle out of that one.
There's a pitch, bounced to Rainey at short. His throw to Stevens in time, and House works out of trouble here in the 4th inning as Greg Weaver is retired 6-3 for the 3rd out of the inning. So the North Lamar Panthers, with a great scoring opportunity, can't bring Todd Russell home from 3rd base after a 1-out triple down the right field line. For North Lamar here in the bottom of the 4th, no runs, a hit, no errors, and they leave 1 man on base. Our score after 4 complete is Paris 1 and North Lamar nothing.
Axe TV 27 salutes the bus ministry of First Baptist Church. We want to take this opportunity to express a word of appreciation to a fine crew of volunteer people who drive our buses, our bus captains, and our bus assistants, who every Saturday morning go door to door visiting those boys and girls who ride to Sunday school and worship service on the buses and the vans of First Baptist Church. To those of you who are watching our telecast, it is our privilege in our transportation ministry to make available transportation for our boys and girls, moms and dads who do not have a way to come to church. We have 10 buses and 4 vans that make the rounds on any given Sunday mornings. And on Saturday mornings, our bus captains go door to door and greet the boys and girls and let them know what time they'll be picked up on Sunday morning. Then we bring them right back to your door after worship service has been completed. Boys and girls from the age of 4 and up are eligible to ride the buses. Moms and dads of all ages, we'll be glad to have you to be a part of our bus ministry. If you would like information about the bus routes within our city and some of those routes that go outside the loop, feel free to give us a telephone call at 785-6431. That's the number at First Baptist Church. And just tell them you'd like to ask about the bus ministry. And we'll be happy to talk with you and to share with you any information you may ask about on our bus ministry. Once again, Axe TV 27 salutes the bus ministry workers.
Oh, it's going to be great.
I think it goes around.
Let's go. We got to get you in practice.
And it's set.
Tim Waits of the Paris News. I noticed you were sitting over there letting Rich do all the work right now.
Right. You won't let me get an afternoon off.
This has turned into a little bit different ball game than the first 2 these teams have played, hasn't it?
Yes, but not surprising. Last year about this time, North Lamar upset the Wildcats.
Todd Wells leading off here in the inning, and the first pitch down around the knees, a called strike by home plate umpire Pete Flynn.
In fact, Greg was on the mound when they beat the Wildcats last year.
Paris still struggling a little bit offensively, say from Friday night, you think?
Quite a bit, huh?
There's a pitch popped up behind the plate. And Toby Fitzgerald with the catch. Todd Wells pops out to Toby Fitzgerald for the first out of the inning. I would have to think that the Wildcats, I don't know whether Benton Rainey would agree or not, perhaps not quite as aggressive right now at the plate.
No, they're not. They just don't seem to be catching up to Greg's pitches right now.
And I would imagine at least the top half of the order a little frustrated after Friday night.
Right.
With the opportunities
lost.
Absolutely. Manning swings and misses at the offering from Greg Weaver, and the count is no balls and 1 strike. A wind and the 0-1 pitch on the way. That is in the dirt. Nice stop by Fitzgerald, and the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. What has been the, Tim, you've seen Paris all year long. What is the reason that Paris is where they're at, a place where obviously all the experts before the season started didn't expect them to be, and that's in first place in district?
Well, they still find the ways to win. They've won a couple of games with a long ball, which is rare for them. They still just have that great team speed, and they can scratch out the runs without getting a lot of hits back to back. They can steal a base and, you know, a wild pitch and pass the ball, and they're in.
Count out to 1 ball and 2 strikes on catcher Justin Manning, as Weaver winds and delivers, and that pitch stays high, and the count is 2-2. After seeing Mount Pleasant, though, I don't think there's any argument that athletically they are the best team in District 10 4A right now.
Well, they have a more potent lineup, top to bottom.
There's a pitch lined into center field. That will fall for a base hit. And Justin Manning at first base with that line single to center, picked up by Cliff Parker and returned to the infield. So the Cats with an out have a base runner now at first base on the single by Justin Manning. Brad Boatner at the plate.
Looks like Michael Embry will be courtesy running for Justin.
So Embry will be the runner at first. And the one thing about high school baseball, you can have a courtesy runner and the guy doesn't have to come out of the lineup. In other words, Manning can return and play catcher the next inning. You have to be impressed with Mount Pleasant, though. From what I understand, that was their third-string third baseman Friday night, and he went out and chewed on Paris pitching a little bit.
Yeah.
Had a double and a single and a couple of runs batted in.
Now, they're by far the deepest team, especially their pitching staff. They can go 5 and 6 deep and not lose a whole lot.
Of course, Benton Rainey has to be a little surprised at his pitching staff, as well as they've thrown this season. I don't think he was really expecting to have that kind of staff this year.
Right. Well, of course, after having a Jack Ford in the lineup, you know, it's tough to replace that. But Chuck Armstrong has done a fine job, as has Clint House. And Brian Rainey has pitched several good games for them early in the season.
Weaver chasing Embry back to first. And the pitch to Boatner, just off the inside corner, and the count is 1 ball and no strikes.
What I found that's amazing is how Paris has managed to stay out of the top 10 in the high school coaches poll. They won a championship in 12 straight games and still can't seem to crack that list somehow, remaining anonymous in Northeast Texas.
It's sometimes that can work to your advantage.
Yeah.
People don't know a whole lot about you, and occasionally you sneak up on somebody who is supposed to beat you and doesn't. And time is called at the plate by Brad Boatner. And again, Pete Flynn allowed that. And Friday night, we thought that John McIntyre allowed that a couple of times when the pitcher had already started his motion. And a little surprising they allowed time to be called in that situation.
This is Joe Paul Brazil. I had to correct you there, Tom.
Okay.
Looks like Joe Paul is coming.
So he's now he will replace Brad Boatner, or somebody will replace Brad Boatner in the Paris
Joe
lineup.
has seen some time at second base this season.
And going down is Embry trying to steal, and he is caught stealing for the second out of the inning. Well, as we were making that change, the pitch coming into Joe Paul Brazil, Embry took off on the pitch and was thrown out easily. Toby Fitzgerald down to Michael Boswell, who applied the tag. Second out of the inning. And now with nobody on base, Brazil, high fly ball into short right center field that Cliff Parker comes on to make the catch. So the Wildcats, after getting a runner on the single by Justin Manning, run themselves out of the inning as courtesy runner Embry is thrown out at second, caught stealing, and then Joe Paul Brazil flies out on the next pitch for the third out. For Paris in the fifth, no runs, a hit, no errors, nobody left on base. Our score after 4.5, Paris 1, North Lamar nothing. We go to the bottom of the fifth inning with Paris clinging to a 1-0 lead. Clint House pitched himself out of trouble in the fourth inning after giving up a triple to Todd Russell. Came back to get Michael Boswell and Greg Weaver on ground balls in the infield. He'll face Shiloh Minier to start off the bottom of the fifth. Minier, a strikeout victim, back in the second. And during the break, we were talking with Tim Waits about this North Lamar team. We'll get back to that in just a moment. The first pitch to Minier, hit in the air to center field. Trey Walker in his tracks makes a little adjustment to his right and makes the catch. So Minier, first ball swinging, flies out to Trey Walters in center field for the first out. We were talking during the break, Tim, about North Lamar being the perfect spoiler team. They've been playing well the last week.
Right, if they play well early in the game, get early success, they can beat anybody in the district.
There's a called strike on the knees to Randy Dupree.
That includes Mount Pleasant.
But we saw them against Sulphur Springs here about 2.5 weeks ago, and didn't look that good against the Sulphur Springs team they eventually beat. Breaking pitch fouled back. And today, they have been flawless in the field and have been fairly aggressive at the plate. They've gotten an extra base hit. They haven't been able to score the run yet, but they're going up and getting their hacks. 0-2 pitch on the way, swung on and missed. I will say one thing about Clint House. He gets in a groove and he starts striking out people right and left.
Right.
And for the afternoon now, that is 7 strikeouts for Clint House. Had 3 in the second, 3 in the third, and has picked up his 7th here in the 5th. So with 2 out, we go back to the top of the order and Cliff Parker, who has one of the only 2 hits that House has allowed, and he takes the first pitch, a ball. Parker led this game off with a single for North Lamar. Reached on an error in the third, is 1 for 2 this afternoon. And House is working in a hurry. There's a pitch that would have been ball 2, but Parker could have used my pitching wedge on that particular swing, I think. Count is even now at 1 ball and 1 strike. I know it's your doing that allowed us to get the ball game in. Everybody thought it would be raining by this time this afternoon.
I've written enough rain delay stories so far that I'll go ahead and play one.
Well, I don't know. You did manage to stay dry Friday night, didn't you?
Yes.
I didn't, but that was perhaps...
We had a roof over our heads.
Outside, well, I had an umbrella, but it wasn't as big an umbrella as I needed, I don't think. There's a pitch that stays somehow out of the strike zone. Count is out to 3 balls and 1 strike on Cliff Parker.
Clint pitched for the first time against Mount Pleasant, a couple innings of relief, and it had been the first time he pitched in almost 2 weeks, at least a week and a half.
Parker draws the walk, so with 2 outs, the Panthers have a base runner, and that will bring Joe Plott, the left fielder, to the plate. 0 for 2 this afternoon. Popped out to Bruce Harmon in the first, and a strikeout victim in the third. Well, that was Friday was perhaps the most miserable actual game conditions I think we've had since football season, and I don't think we had anything quite that bad during football season.
Yeah. Not to get all the way through the game.
No. I was amazed that they continued to play baseball in that weather Friday night. The runner is going. The pitch swung on and fouled at the plate. So Plott swinging to protect Parker on what was essentially a run and hit. And the count now 0-1 on Joe Plott. Well, Tim, first of all, I'd like to take time to thank you for publicizing what we do on X. I haven't had to break your arm or anything. Although if you have a favorite candy bar, we'll try to drop a bag of those off. Here's the 0-1 pitch, and that is inside, a breaking ball, tracked down by catcher Justin Manning, and the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. Cats come into this game 13-3 on the year, 7-1 in district. And I think if you've read Tim Waits' stories in the Paris News, you know they had a 12-game winning streak going into the game Friday night. So the momentum came to a halt Friday night. They're trying to recover it against North Lamar this afternoon, and they're having some problems against the North Lamar team that first 2 games this season against Paris had them called early because of the 10-run rule. But this afternoon they are playing much better. In fact, only down 1-0 as we play in the bottom of the 5th. 2 out and a runner at first base for the Panthers. Parker is gone. Pitches in for a strike. Throw down is in time to Brian Rainey. And Cliff Parker is out for the third out of the inning. Retired 2-6, caught stealing. And that means that Joe Plott comes to the plate in the sixth. But for North Lamar, no runs, no hits, no errors, and no one left on base. Our score after 5 complete. Paris 1 and North Lamar nothing.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at casaforchildren.org.
We go to the top of the sixth inning on the Axe Northeast Texas Game of the Week, a District 10 4A encounter between Paris and North Lamar. Wildcats lead the Panthers 1-0 as we play at Postlong Field on the campus of North Lamar High School. And for Paris here in the top of the sixth, we go back to the top of the order. Trey Walters, the Wildcat center fielder. And the first pitch is swung on, and that one is hit deep down the left field line, way back, way back. That is a foul ball. And not by much. Walters put that just outside the field of play, right down the third base line. Well, that is a loud foul ball. As Trey really turned on that pitch from Greg Weaver. Walters today, 1 for 1. Singled in the first, walked in the third, and then was part of a double play on an attempted sacrifice. The 0-1 pitch that breaks just low and out of the strike zone, and the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. Good ball game. North Lamar and Paris, 1-0 Wildcats. 1-1 pitch on the way to Trey Walters. Outside and low, and the count is 2-1. For Paris in this inning, Trey Walters, Steve Walker, Kurt Lowry, the first 3 due up. As the cloud cover has moved back in and things have gotten a bit chillier than they were when this game started, about 5 minutes of 4. That pitch hangs outside, and the count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike on Paris center fielder Trey Walters, who would like a chance to swing at another pitch like the one he fouled off down the third baseline. And that pitch way outside, and Walters walks to lead the inning off. Second walk of the afternoon for Trey Walters, and the Wildcats have their leadoff man on here in the 6th. And we have a pinch batter for Steve Walker. And we'll try to get a name to go with the number here in just a moment. Must be nice to be young. We have some folks here in the stands, some of the high school girls in shorts. Well, she's covering herself up now with a denim jacket. I was going to say she must have really warm blood because it has gotten pretty chilly. Here's the pitch, runner goes, and that one is cued foul outside the first base line. Strike 1, and I believe that's Embry, but we'll check with some of the folks around here who are supposed to know. Trey Walters at first, nobody out here in the top of the 6th for Paris, and an 0-1 count on the batter. Weaver will check the runner at first, and the pitch is a pitch out, and not going is Trey Walters, and the count goes to 1-1. 1-1 count with a man at first for Paris. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 1-2, and Walters scampers back into first base. One ball and 2 strikes. The count on the batter here in the top of the 6th. Nobody out and a runner at first, and he squares to bunt of the pitches. A pitch out again. And the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, they want to keep Trey Walters at first base. Walters with good speed. And a rather unusual maneuver, squaring to bunt with 2 strikes. You foul it off and you're out.
It's too early.
Without a chance to really advance the base runner. Greg Weaver checks Trey Walters at first and prepares to come to the plate. 2-2 pitch on the way. Walters is gone. There's a swing and a miss. Called strike, and Walters has a stolen base. On the strikeout. 1 out in the inning, and that will bring Kurt Lowry to the plate, the left fielder. Paris with a runner in scoring position. They haven't had many of those. Walters was at second base in the first inning, and the Cats couldn't get him home. And outside of Jason Stevens at third, who did come home on a passed ball, the Cats just have not had many runners in scoring position. Walters at first with at second rather, with 1 out, and Kurt Lowry the batter. Lowry 0 for 2 this afternoon. The wind, the delivery. Lowry squares to bunt and then takes a called strike. 0-1 the count on Kurt Lowry. And a pretty good crowd is showing up for the ball game. They bundled up against that brisk north wind. And 50-degree temperatures here at Pass Lawn. Paris leads 1-0. We're in the top of the 6th. 1 out, 1 on. And an 0-1 count to Kurt Lowry. Greg Weaver comes to the plate. Lowry squares to bunt and fouls it back. 0-2 the count on Kurt Lowry. And Pete Flynn has to see the ball to make sure it hasn't developed a soft spot from coming up against the concrete wall. Considering the conditions we played in Friday night, it may be cloudy and cool out here this afternoon, but it's positively balmy compared to the rain and all the other stuff we put up with Friday night at Hub Hollis with Mount Pleasant in town. There's a breaking pitch off the outside edge, and the count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. To the Wildcat left fielder, Kurt Lowry. Both pitchers have been on top of their games today. Greg Weaver allowing just a couple of base hits. Same for Clint House of Paris. Just a couple of base hits allowed to North Lamar. Weaver in the stretch, checks the runner at second. And they will have a play at second, and back in safely is Trey Walters. Well, the throw was there in time, I think, but they couldn't get around to get the tag down on Walters. Trey got back safely. The line, the delivery, Walters is going. Curveball inside. The throw down to third is in time, and Walters is caught stealing. Boy, what a nice play. Toby Fitzgerald to Michael Jones. Well, I have to say this. We saw Toby Fitzgerald rather against Sulphur Springs a couple of, well, almost 3 weeks ago. Maybe longer than that. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Check swing, called strike 3 as Lowry might have gone around too far. And the first strikeout of the afternoon for Greg Weaver. Paris has gone in order after Trey Walters caught stealing for the second out of the inning. After 5.5, our score, North Lamar trailing Paris 1-0. And as we were talking about just before that strikeout, we saw Toby Fitzgerald about 3.5 weeks ago against Sulphur Springs, and he was having trouble keeping the ball in front of him, having trouble throwing base runners out. Didn't look comfortable behind the plate, but this afternoon he has been just about as good as you could expect him to be. He has thrown out Trey Walters. He has thrown out Justin Manning, or the courtesy runner for Justin Manning back in the 5th. And he has pretty well kept the ball in play. The only time it got away from him, the pass ball back in the 2nd, that allowed the only run of this game to score. But Toby Fitzgerald has had an excellent game behind the plate today for North Lamar. 1-0. Paris leads North Lamar, and in the bottom half of the 6th inning for the Panthers, it will be Joe Plott, who was at the plate when Cliff Parker was caught stealing in the 5th. Toby Fitzgerald and Michael Jones. Do you ever find out who that batter was for Paris?
No, I didn't. I went over and tried to get a line on that, and I didn't. I will try again. We don't have him on our lineup sheet, do we not?
Nope, but Stephen Walker is back in right field, so there was a pinch batter for Steve Walker, but Walker has gone back in to play right field, and we'll try to find out who that was for you here momentarily. Well, we'll lead it off again, as we mentioned, Joe Plott, the North Lamar left fielder, against Clint House, and he takes a breaking pitch strike to start the bottom of the 6th. Panthers down 1-0, are also down to their final 6 outs of the ball game. The wind, the 0-1 pitch, and there's a shot just over the outstretched glove of Brad Boatner at second base. A line single to left by Joe Plott. 3rd hit of the afternoon for North Lamar, and the Panthers have their leadoff batter aboard with Toby Fitzgerald due up. And now a courtesy runner is going in for Joe Plott. A line shot over the outstretched glove of Brad Boatner.
Mr. Stevens just said that was Michael Embry.
Thank you. I thought that's who it was, but I'll put that down very quickly.
And we certainly want to give him credit for being one of our spotters. Which one of these is
the wind, the pitch, and the swing and the miss by Toby Fitzgerald? 0-1 the count on Fitzgerald with a runner at first. And nobody out here in the bottom of the 6th. North Lamar trailing 1-0.
This game is really moving right on, Tom. We've only been in this for an hour and 20 minutes. Here we are in the 6th inning.
Clint House off the rubber, checks the runner back at first.
You were talking about the fine job that the catchers have been doing. The battery has done real well, both teams today, pitchers and catchers.
There's a bunt down the 3rd base line, rolls foul. So the attempted sacrifice is not completed by Toby Fitzgerald to count out to 0-2.
It was here on this field last Friday where they let one roll back into play. That was a very decisive role in the outcome of that game between Liberty Ilo and North Lamar.
A game that the Panthers lost in extra innings to the Leopards, 7-6. Fitzgerald down on the count 0-2 after that failed bunt attempt. Let's see if Alden George has him squaring around one more time, even though the count is at 0-2. House to the plate. Fitzgerald squares and bunts through it. Strike 3. Fitzgerald, a strikeout victim here in the 6th, and that is the 8th strikeout for Clint House this afternoon.
Well, Quint's going to be proud of his statistics as he goes home and sits down and looks at them.
Well, yes and no. He might be like Charlie Huff. You don't want to lose this game and pitch well.
True.
Then it doesn't matter how well you pitched.
Not at all. You can erase it all.
Yeah, you want to be able to pitch this well and win, I think, is the general idea. That will bring Michael Jones to the plate. Jones 0 for 2 this afternoon. North Lamar with their third base hit of the day, and a runner at first base. Fakes the bunt. Runner is going to second. Manning's throw is in time. He is out. Harris pitched out that time, and Justin Manning guns down the base runner at second base.
Once again, a fine play from the catcher. So we've had both catchers turning in an outstanding afternoon.
This has been, if you like defensive baseball, this has been a real gem for both teams today. And from Paris, the way they've been playing, you might expect it. From North Lamar, this is a very pleasant surprise. There's a pitch just off the outside edge, and the count now is at 1 ball and no strikes to Michael Jones.
Being in the 6th inning and a base runner at first base, everybody in the universe knew they were going to try to get him in scoring position.
There's a base hit.
And that's what they were wanting. Had they had that runner in scoring position, then this would be a tie ball game right now.
Well, maybe. That one got out to Kurt Lowry in a big hurry. They might have had to hold the runner. But nevertheless, Michael Jones with the 4th base hit off Clint House, but this one not nearly as damaging as it would have been had the base runner still been aboard on the opening single by Joe Plott. And now House will chase Michael Jones back to first base. Todd Russell, the right fielder, at the plate.
Oh, what might have been.
Well, Russell had a triple now in the 4th. He hits one like that again, and this ball game is tied. House checks the runner at first and comes to Russell, breaking pitch called strike 1. Russell this afternoon, 1 for 2, a strikeout in the 2nd, then that big triple in the 4th, but North Lamar with that 1-out triple could not bring him home. Clint House checks the runner, 0-1 pitch, right back to the pitcher, and House will do it himself.
No chance is he going to throw that one. He wanted that sure out.
So on a comebacker to the pitcher that House runs over and does himself on the bag, Todd Russell is gone for the 3rd out of the inning. And North Lamar, despite 2 base hits in the inning, does not score. No runs on those 2 hits, no errors, and 1 man left. Our score after 6 complete. Now Paris 1 and North Lamar nothing. Top of the 7th, Paris leads 1-0, and Bruce Harmon leads it off for the Wildcats. And lines one right at the second baseman. Nice play over to first in time. 1 pitch, 1 out. Michael Boswell to Randy Dupree. Well, folks, you better watch because this one's going by in a hurry. Jason Stevens at the plate. Didn't even have a chance to tell you that Bruce Harmon was 0 for 2 coming to the plate. He's now 0 for 3, and perhaps his afternoon is over. Jason Stevens, 0 for 1. Walked, scored a run in the 2nd, the only run of the ball game, then popped out to the first baseman in the 4th inning.
Should this game hold as it is, Tom, we've got 2 teams here in our community that can really be proud. Of course, nobody wishes to be the loser, as you've already mentioned. Both teams would like to win, but everybody ought to be able to go home should this game hold where it is now, or even 2-1, something like that. We've had an excellent game today.
Stevens fouls the first one off right above our heads, and it hit something metallic behind us.
It was called automobile.
0-1 the count on Jason. That pitch is high, and the count now 1 ball and 1 strike. And our umpiring crew doing a nice job today. Pete Flynn behind the plate, Joe Tal on the bases. They have been very definite on their calls. There have been no arguments or differences of opinion that have been made public, anyway, with our umpiring crew. There's a swing and a miss by Stevens.
Pulled the string on him.
Who was fooled by that breaking pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Jason. Brian Rainey on deck. Well, Greg Weaver has had a fine afternoon, and he's been backed up by some very nice defense by the by the Panthers. Toby Fitzgerald, I guess, must have seen somebody down at first that wasn't there because he came out of his crouch ready to throw it down
Ghost
to Randy
on the
Dupree. Maybe he was watching something over here. I don't know, but nevertheless, 2 balls, 2 strikes to count. That pitch low and away to Jason Stevens. And that one swung on and missed. So Greg Weaver has his second strikeout of the, or third strikeout rather, of the afternoon.
That got a little closer than anybody wished for it to be.
And the drop third strike. Stevens throwing out at first base, and my apologies for not noticing that.
We could have had some spikes in the back of the hand on that one. That one was real close.
So the strikeout credited to Greg Weaver, and then the put out 2-3 for the second out of the inning. And that will bring Brian Rainey to the plate with 2 down and nobody on in the top of the 7th for Paris, and the Cats leading 1-0. And the pitch to Rainey on the ground in the hole. The third baseman over. Jones throw in time to Randy Dupree.
Oh, this one is moving on.
And the Cats are gone in a hurry here in the top of the 7th. After 6.5, our score, Paris 1, North Lamar 0.
My son has been drinking, and I think he's using drugs.
I just feel so ugly. I don't want anybody to see me.
So sad all the time. I can barely get out of bed.
I just needed to talk to someone because I miss him so much.
Stand strong. No matter what you're going through, there is hope at the end of the line.
Focus on the family. How can we help?
Michael Boswell scheduled to lead it off for North Lamar in the bottom of the 7th. Panthers down 1-0. Would not like this to be their final at-bat against the Paris Wildcats unless they can find some way to get to Clint House for a couple of runs and win this game outright here in the bottom of the 7th.
That same pretty young lady that was behind you the other night is waiting for you again.
Keep telling you guys you're going to get me in trouble with my wife. I wish you wouldn't say that.
But as long as it's your beautiful daughter, that's okay.
But that's the only... If you think my wife believes that, you're crazy.
Well, she always wants you to bring the daughter home.
Michael Boswell at the plate, and Clint House going into his 7th inning of work. He's had a nice afternoon, too. First pitch, a breaking ball called strike. Boy, he's been tossing that curve for strikes on the first pitch just about all afternoon. 0-1 the count on Michael Boswell, who is 0 for 1 this afternoon. There's a shot in the center field. Base hit for Michael Boswell, and the tying run is aboard as Boswell leads off with a single.
Now, this is where the crowd's going to really get in the game because we're here in the bottom of the last inning. And let's see, we're going to have a little conference out on the pitcher's mound. I can't help but believe this is going to be just that, just a conference, because he's been pitching too well.
Benton Rainey out to talk to Clint House.
Give him a little instructions defensively.
And he's going to take House out. Justin Manning, the catcher there. And
I reckon
we'll have a new pitcher for Paris.
He wants to preserve this potential victory above all costs. He's just not going to take any chance because he has pitched an outstanding game up to this point. Just outstanding.
So we have a pitching change for the Paris Wildcats, and if you'll head over to where Mike Patterson's sitting, perhaps we can pick it up. A pitching change for Paris. And as he takes his warm-up tosses, let's take this opportunity for a commercial timeout. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning with our score, Paris 1, North Lamar 0. The Northeast Texas game of the week continues right after this.
God has called us to go into the world and to care for the dying, to care for those that are suffering. It's just what we do.
So many houses are collapsed. People are economically weak.
It felt like a freight train, honestly. It really did. You just felt the shaking. You felt the eeriness.
When things like this happen, we have to come together. We have to help each other.
Our marriage was broken. We were at the point of no return.
The pain was just growing stronger, and I felt like I was getting weaker by the day.
It's a dire situation. There is a great need for outside help to fill this gap for medical needs.
I was at my lowest point, feeling unloved, and God brought in shoeboxes and gave me hope.
We run to the fire, we don't run away from it. We're on a rescue mission, and we go in Jesus' name.
There's a good shot of some of the folks that have turned out on this very cool afternoon here at North Lamar. See the hometown boys play a very exciting but a defensive-minded ball game.
Chuck Armstrong, the starting pitcher in Friday night's loss to Mount Pleasant, is on in relief of Clint House, who winds up the afternoon striking out 8. North Lamar batters having a fine afternoon on the mound. Armstrong on to try and pick up the save after Michael Boswell led off the bottom of the 7th with a single to center field. And the first person to face Chuck Armstrong will be the pitcher, Greg Weaver.
I suppose we can see an attempt to try and move this runner into scoring position as we're in the bottom of the 7th inning. The infield, the third baseman's in right on the grass.
Armstrong will pitch from the stretch, checks the runner at first, breaking pitch, swung on and missed, strike 1. And that was a nasty curveball. Broke about 1.5 feet just about the time it got to the plate. Shiloh Minier on deck for the Panthers, who trail 1-0 here in the bottom of the 7th. The wind, the delivery, and that breaking pitch outside and low, and the count evens now at 1 ball and 1 strike.
I'm really surprised they have not attempted to sacrifice the runner into scoring position with no outs.
A check of the runner at first, and that pitch, a fastball on the outside corner, and Pete Flynn says strike 2.
The crowd's getting a little unruly behind us.
1-2 the count on Greg Weaver. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th. The tying run at first base for North Lamar. And Armstrong's pitch swung on and missed as Weaver couldn't catch the fastball. His first strikeout of the day, the 9th North Lamar batter to go down on strikes, and the first out here in the bottom of the 7th. That will bring Shiloh Minier to the plate. Well, believe it or not, North Lamar has out-hit Paris this afternoon, but Paris has the only run on the scoreboard, and they had to manufacture that one. The wind, the delivery, a big breaking pitch that throws Minier at the plate, strike 1.
That pass ball could be the thing that spells victory for the Wildcats, and especially after North Lamar has out-hit the Wildcats, that would be a strange twist to how things may turn out.
Armstrong backs off the rubber and checks the base runner back at first base. Oh, 1 the count on Shiloh Minier. And the pitch on the way from Armstrong stays very high, and the count now 1 ball and 1 strike. Throw over to first, and getting back in safely is Michael Boswell. 1 on, 1 out, bottom of the 7th. North Lamar down 1-0 to Paris. Armstrong swung on, popped up on the infield. The shortstop drifting back out, makes the catch behind second base. 2 men are down.
2 down in the bottom of the 7th.
Ryan Rainey puts the squeeze on that pop fly, and that will leave it up to Randy Dupree.
Thought maybe they were sending Stacy out for a moment. Going to have a little conference on the mound. We've got a runner at first, 2 away. We want to make sure that this one's played just right. Get the sure out. This is the one they don't want to take any chances with. Get the sure out.
And check it, I believe that's Richard Woolston now at the plate. Pinch hitting for Randy Dupree. So with 2 outs and a man on, the tying run at first base is Michael Boswell. Richard Woolston steps in as a pinch hitter and takes the first pitch, a breaking ball, strike. Well, North Lamar down to their final 2 strikes. 1-0 Paris here in the bottom of the 7th. Tying run at first base for North Lamar. The 0-1 pitch outside. And the count levels at 1 ball and 1 strike, and you heard the groan of dismay from the Paris crowd off to our right.
I think they're wanting to wrap this one up rather early themselves.
The wind and the 1-1 pitch, a big breaking pitch called strike.
Okay, we're down to the last potential strike.
And now the last, the Panthers down to their last strike. Armstrong, a check of the runner, comes home, and a big breaking pitch stays high and away, and the count goes to 2-2.
Catcher's telling you now, just get it in here, get it in here.
Well,
Don't lose your control.
He wants to make sure he doesn't overthrow the.
That's right. We don't want to get that.
Don't want to wild pitch that runner into scoring position.
Well, it'd be poetic justice, and that's how the Cats scored their run over a pass ball.
2-2 pitch on the way. Swung on and missed, and this one is over. Woolston strikes out. 10th North Lamar batter to strike out this afternoon. Second strikeout for reliever Chuck Armstrong, who gets the save today on in relief of Clint House. Our final score from Poslong Field: Paris 1, North Lamar nothing. A real gem of a game for both Greg Weaver and for Clint House and Chuck Armstrong, the Paris pitchers. A super game, and we hope you've enjoyed it. Axe TV 27 and our volunteers, thank you for your support of the Northeast Texas Game of the Week on Channel 27. Our next scheduled taping is Friday night, Paris and Sulphur Springs, and of course that game will be played back Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, and Monday morning. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this one as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Once again, our final score from Poslong Field at North Lamar: the Paris Wildcats 1, North Lamar nothing. The Wildcats stay on top of District 10-4A by at least 1 game with the win this afternoon. Until we see you Friday night at Hub Hollis Field when the Wildcats host Sulphur Springs, this is Tom Allen for the Axe TV 27 volunteers saying goodbye from North Lamar.